Yo, 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 welcome back to the live stream. It's your boy Tokyo Stoner. We're getting into the best materia for endgame guide. To give you an idea on where I am in the game, I've just cleared this mission. This is the Pride and Joy secret boss battle. This is meant to be the hardest challenge in the game, and I'm about to begin my hard mode playthrough. I'm going to show you the build I used to beat that challenge and what's going to end up becoming the build that I use for most of my hard mode playthrough. And yeah, let's get into it. So to begin with the staples, so lightning, you see this slot here, you're going to need at least one interchangeable slot, right? And the reason you need one interchangeable slot is because magic is very useful in the end game for triggering certain bosses, stagger and stuff like that, certain enemies. And obviously, you know, you don't want to be, you're not always going to have 4 spare slots to have all the different elements. So you need to be aware of what you're going up against and roll with the specific element that you need to take that boss on. So always make sure in your build you got one spare slot, interchangeable damage focus materia, spell materia. ATB assist, you only get one of these. I'm pretty sure you only get one, right? So I give it to Cloud because with Cloud I'm constantly spamming that focus thrust attack to raise stagger in the enemies. So you definitely want ATB assist maxed out. The way it works is the character you give it to, once their ATB gauge is full, so you have to have 2 full bars or 3 if you're using refocused, spam the same attack twice, you know, back to back. And when you use it 2 times in a row, your other characters, your allies, they're going to get a large boost to their ATB gauge as well. So that's super clutch. I mean, sometimes you might say burn Cloud's last 2 bars staggering a boss. Sorry. He might spend his last 2 bars staggering a boss, and then as soon as it's staggered, Cloud's bar is empty, but your other allies now have 2 full gauges to do damage. So this is a super OP materia, very useful in endgame. Chakra is a must-have in endgame because your MP is limited, because if obviously, you know, you can't use items, so you can't easily replenish MP. So you need to be conserving all of your MP for the bosses of each chapter, essentially. So chakra is a must-have. You can't play hard mode really without it, I don't think. Revival and healing. As we're going through the guide, you're going to see all of my characters for hard mode. They all have a mastered revive and a mastered heal. The reason you have heal is not to spam it. You use it for situations where chakra is not going to do the job, or where you can't afford, because to get a character up to full health with chakra, you might have to cast it twice. I mean, one cast is usually enough, but there are situations where you just want to do a curaga and have the situation over with. So heal's there not to be spammed, because you have to conserve your MP, but it's like I said, every character on my team has it. Also, every character has a revive. No Phoenix downs in hard mode, so raise is the minimum. You have to have raise, and ideally you want a rise, because a rise means when you resurrect your fallen ally, they're going to come back with full HP, and it only costs 14 MP. So a thing to point out is that there are situations where letting your character die and then casting a rise on them to bring them back with full HP is actually going to be cheaper than feeding them heals, right? And it may also be cheaper ATB wise, because sometimes you're going to burn so many ATBs from different characters to get someone back to full health. It's a risky move, but if you're brave enough to go with it, sometimes letting a character die, spending the 14 MP from a rise to bring them back full health can really swing the entire flow of a fight. Steadfast block, again, all of my characters have this at this point. Steadfast block, if you don't know what it does already, it means that when you're getting hit by an attack, if you're blocking, it's going to reduce the damage taken and it's going to boost your ATB gauge. So I give you examples where this is ultra clutch. You're fighting an enemy, both of your allies are dead, and your only remaining character is on very low HP. You got maybe 1,000 left, and the enemy is coming at you with an attack that you can't dodge, right? What are you going to do? You could block and just keep running around and then get killed eventually or whatever, or you could block with this materia equipped, and by the time you block that attack, you're going to take half damage, so you have a much better chance of survival, and you're almost definitely going to have at least 1 gauge filled after you've blocked that attack, and you can cast a rise to fully resurrect the team member and bring the fight back in your favor. So steadfast block, I can't recommend it enough. It's a must-have for endgame. ATB stagger is also a must-have. I've only got it on my 2 damage dealers in this build. You could have it on your support as well, But like I said, ATB stagger on your 2 damage dealers is a must-have. Again, no worse situation than grinding a boss fight for say 5 minutes to build a stagger gauge, getting it staggered, and you can hardly do any damage because you've got no ATB gauge. So yeah, like I said, ATB stagger must-have. MP up is also, like in my early game guide, I said MP up is not really relevant in early game, but may be relevant in end game. It is, in my opinion, in end game, it's more clutch than HP up is in normal. MP up is ultra clutch in end game, because like I said, your MP is limited, and bro, who wants to play a hard mode chapter for however many hours, get to the final boss, and you're stuck because all your characters are burnt out on MP? So yeah, MP up is a must-have. Again, going back to that Pride and Joy fight, the final challenge, when I got to Pride and Joy, all of my characters still basically had 100 MP, and that was only because of the MP up materials. They are super clutch. HP up is also a must-have. So in this, for end game, hard mode and stuff like that, I'd recommend every character has 1 mastered HP up, and every character has 1 mastered MP up. Some characters may require 2 of some of these, but for Cloud I've given 1. So to recap, Cloud, that's he's got interchangeable damage slot, right, for casting spells, ATB assist, chakra materia, revive materia, healing, steadfast block, ATB stagger, MP up, HP up, and he hits like a tank. Yeah. All right, now Tifa. Again, like I said, interchangeable damage slot, right? Ice, fire, whatever you need to take down the enemy you're going up against. You need that 1 slot, because sometimes physical is not going to cut it. Time materia, wow, you want this. The reason I've given time materia to Tifa is because I want my support focused on keeping up barriers, keeping their ATB gauge full. Because another tip for endgame that's not materia related is that a OP playstyle is not burning your ATB gauges. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having your characters all running around with 2 full gauges, right? And you only burn them as and when they're relevant, right? And that just makes your situation better. So if all of a sudden some unexpected shit goes down and you're all in red health, you've all got ATB gauges. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, time materia is excellent. Cast haste on, like I said, don't spam it because MP is relevant, but in the situation when you need it, cast haste on either your support to get your team back in shape, or cast haste on your damage dealers to destroy the enemy. Cool. Haste is a must-have in hard mode, though. I can't stress that enough. If you're playing hard mode without haste, you know, good luck. Anyway, ATB stagger materia, another OP. Like I said, every character has it. I've broken it down already. The revival healing setup already been broken down. ATB stagger and the steadfast block. Right now, again, look, these must-haves, because there's so many must-have materials, you need a lot of slots. I'll go over the weapons endgame because you don't want to be sacrificing materia slots for physical damage, because, you know, that's ridiculous because you have to rely on physical to get through. But yeah, you need maxed out slots, so make sure all your weapons are level 6 with as many slots as possible. Again, Tifa, she got 2 MP ups, 1 HP up. There may be situations where I'd give her a HP up, like in normal maybe, but I reckon in hard, like I said, she's got 2 MP ups and she still only has 139. Do you get what I mean? She's going to be feeding the team time, all of it, right? She'll be casting a Rise, which costs 14 MP per cast, and she may be healing at times. So, you know, MP up, super relevant. She is squishy with only 6,000 HP, so you might want to give her, you know, sacrifice something here. Like maybe if you're doing a mission where you know she doesn't need this interchangeable slot, give her another HP up. Let's see what her health goes to if we give her one. 9,000, right? So if you feel like your teeth is a bit squishy, you could give her a second HP up if you wanted to, right? Let's get into Aerith. Now, Cloud and Tifa, regardless, they're always going to be your main damage dealers. Barret, I prefer over Aerith. So if you press R1, you come here. I would always do this, right? If I'm in a level where, you know, they've given me Aerith, I'm just going to swap the materials, right? And if I'm in a level where I've got Barret, I'm just going to swap, right? So that's the idea. Anyway, let me put it all back. And I'm just showing you this because a lot of people on my streams, they've seen this screen and said, bro, how do you do that? So when you're on this screen, you just press R1. And that's a real convenient way of doing that. Anyway, Barrier Magnify is like must have. Like it's the most convenient support materia in my opinion, especially in hard mode. In normal you can play around with Haste Magnify for fun, but in hard mode, Barrier Magnify is a must have. There are situations where you're going to want a cleansing. Like if you're going up against the Marlboro, which is another one of the hidden bosses, you're going to need a cleansing Magnify, right? And that's going to make that boss fight really easy, because he's going to hit you with so many bad status effects, your team's going to fall apart. If you use cleansing and Magnify, you can cast resist on the whole team. It negates all negative status effects. So if, for example, the barrier setup's not working because your team's getting destroyed by negative status effects, consider using a cleansing, or still keeping the Barrier Magnify and having a separate cleansing, right? But yeah, Barrier Magnify must have in my opinion. If you don't know what this does, level 1 barrier spell halves physical damage, the level 2 spell halves magical damage, and the level 3 spell halves both physical and magical damage, essentially halving all damage in the game. So Barrier Magnify is, it's a no-brainer, it's a must-have. I gave my support Chakra. Now the reason why Aerith has Chakra is because she's squishy, right? If Barrett was my support, Tifa would probably have this Chakra instead. So that's something worth noting. But Aerith, I found her so squishy, she had to have it. Anyway. Healing Materia, Revive Materia, Steadfast Block. As you can see, like I said, set up on every character because it's a must-have, ridiculously OP. HP up. Aerith has 2 HP ups, 2 MP ups, right? Now, if this was Barrett, I'd give him 1 HP up, 2 MP ups, and I'd trade this slot out for something else. You with me? I'd probably put a Provoke, right? I mean, I'd probably use different things that I needed, but the first thing that comes to mind is I'd give him a Provoke Materia, right? Which means that when my allies are at low health, Barrett's gonna jump in and tank the damage for them. So I recommend Provoke Materia, that's really useful. And yeah, I'd say that wraps it up for Aerith. So, quickly, now that we've gone through the materia builds, I'll show you the summons as well. I always go with Leviathan and Bahamut, and then either Ifrit or Shiva, depending on elemental weaknesses. I only ever tend to use Ifrit or Shiva against enemies that have weaknesses. Either I'm rolling with Leviathan or Bahamut. Bahamut, in my opinion, is the best in the game. He's super powerful, but something to keep in mind, with these two, you can cast attacks that only cost 1 ATB gauge, but with Leviathan and Bahamut, everything costs 2 ATB gauges. I haven't spoken about Fat Chocobo because I don't really use him. As far as I know, everything uses 2 ATB gauges, and he's a gimmick. You want Bahamut, yeah? Anyway, I'm going to quickly show you the weapons I'm using to make this build work. So Cloud's rolling with Hard Edge. The reason why is because in endgame, your main focus is going to be dealing physical damage the entire time, because your whole time you're relying on keeping your MP stacked for the bosses, right? So even though, like I said, Cloud may have the extra HP, and he may have like this casting ice or some shit like that, he might have that, but he's only going to be using that magic spell every so often. Most of the damage, even against bosses, is going to be coming from his physical attacks and his abilities. So Hard Edge is probably the best in my opinion. You could use Buster Sword. I always use Buster Sword because I'm nostalgic like that and I prefer it, but for the sake of the guide, I recommended Hard Edge. If you haven't got these up to 6 slots yet, I recommend using Iron Blade. It gets 6 slots very early on and is a good thing to use in the meantime. Another thing to note is if you're going up against the enemy where you are forced to rely on heavy magical damage, maybe say Hell House, Mithril Saber, because it's got his highest magical damage, look, 108. So yeah, those are things to note. Mithril damage if you're going for a magic build, Hard Edge for straight physical, and Iron Blade if you haven't got 6 slots yet. I've given him the Rune Armlet. The reason he's got Rune Armlet is because there are 4 slot bangles in the game, right? But the only good one is Chain Bangle. The other ones don't have any good defense stats. So there's a Rune Bangle, which gives you high magic defense, and there's a Sorcerer's Armlet with high magic defense. In the challenge I was going through, I was struggling with magic damage, so I applied these. If you're in a different situation and you're struggling with physical damage, you would use the Supreme Bracer, yeah, which also gives you 3 slots and gives you extreme physical defense. So Just pay attention to what kind of damage the enemies are dealing. There are 3 slot Materias, you know, that give you decent defense for one or the other, and there's one balanced, the chain bangle. So give one character the chain bangle. I've given it to Aerith because she's squishy, and give your other guys either Supreme Bracer or Sorcerer's Amulet or Rune Armlet. Yeah, banging. All right. The accessories are not that great. I've given Cloud this, the God of Damarang. This means he starts battles with limit breaks. It's, you know, super OP. You only get this after defeating that boss that I was just talking about, the final thing, Pride and Joy. Otherwise, give him the second champion belt if you have it. You unlock it by doing the pull-up challenge. I haven't finished it yet, but go and get that. Or I'd say give him like a power wrist or just anything relevant. Protective boots if you're getting slowed, headband for sleep, etc. Oh, and another OP thing is revival earrings. This is basically, in this game, if we had materia like this, I would have put it in the build, but we don't. In the original game, you have a materia combination called Final Attack Revive, which means that anytime a character dies, they respond by resurrecting themselves with the revive materia. You don't have that in this game, but what you do have are revival earrings, right? You buy them at the shop for 500. If you have it equipped, it means that on death, your character will resurrect on the spot with a decent amount of HP. It only works once per battle, but it's insanely OP. And like I said, this is basically a materia combination from the original game. So yeah, I'm glad we touched on that before we left out. Never sacrifice materia slots for physical damage on your DPS dealers. Yeah. So Metal Knuckles, 164 damage straight and 6 slots. You could say you want to use the Purple Pain for magic damage or the Mithril Claws for magic damage, but I recommend Metal Knuckles. Sorcerer's Amulet, Champion Belt. Now Champion Belt gives you 10% boost, I'm pretty sure, to HP, yeah, and 5% to strength. So Champion Belt's pretty good. Like I said, the accessories in this are not the best. There's nothing like ribbon or anything if you're familiar with the old games, but so it goes. With Aeris, I'll be using either Reinforced Staff or Mithril Rod. I use Mithril because it's got the most magic damage, look, 140, and I use Reinforced Staff because it has the highest MP. I am missing one of Aerith's weapons. I'm going to do a full weapon guide in another video, but at this point in the game, I'd be using, like for me, in my playthrough, I'm using Reinforced Staff or Mithril Rod. And again, like I said, MP's in the clutch. So look, if I go down to Mithril Rod, 189 MP, here 203 MP, it's not a massive drop off, but I've got the 1 extra materia slot, which comes in the clutch on a support. For a support is the only situation where I would recommend sometimes dropping physical damage for materia slots or for, you know, extra magic power or something like that, only because you will really be getting the bulk of your damage out of your DPS. And in hard mode, if you don't respect the healing role, like the support role, if you don't respect the support role, you will get wrecked in hard mode. Like I said, Chain Bangle, this is going to go on the squishiest character, or the one that I want to stay alive the longest. So I'll either probably give it to Cloud or Tifa, because my dream team is Cloud, Tifa, Barret. So I probably give this to Tifa or Cloud in that scenario. Main reason if I would give it to Cloud is to keep him alive, because you know, whenever you summon an enemy, if your character dies, your summon dies with it, and that's rough. So yeah, make sure you're strategizing your summons. Don't just make a summon because you've got it and you think, oh yeah, I've got a summon, let's use it. No, a lot of the time summoning, using summon materia at the wrong time can cause your party to die, because you burn the ATB gauge to use it, or etc, etc. You end up not utilizing the summon properly, because then you end up, while it's there, you end up just casting heals the whole time. Do you get what I mean? And you're not able to maximize damage. So always be strategizing for your summons. Try to build up your gauges before you're doing the summons, and that should sort you out. Now let's just see. I'm just gonna recap the build quickly before we go. Yeah, let's give that back. Nice. Right, so to recap, Cloud is a damage dealer. Magic damage, ATB assist, chakra, revive, healing, steadfast block, ATB stagger, MP up, HP up, Bahamut. Tifa, magic damage, time, ATB stagger, revive, heal, steadfast block, MP up, HP up. Aerith, barrier, magnify, chakra, healing, revival, steadfast block, MP up, MP up, HP up, HP up. Like I said, this support build is interchangeable, so make sure you're just swapping the materials across like that. Yeah, as I explained before. Barrett and Arif should be your supports. Yeah, man, I'm pretty sure that about wraps it up for the build. I hope I didn't miss anything. I'm going to be doing more guides today. So yeah, this is the endgame Materia guide. I'll be back on in a minute, probably doing some weapon builds and stuff like that and character studies. I hope you found this video useful. If you need to know anything else, make sure you drop a comment or something like that. Make sure you hit a like. All of that helps the channel out a lot. And yeah, let me do the outro. If you're watching on YouTube, check Twitch, that's Tokyo Stoner. If you're watching on Twitch, check the YouTube, that's Tokyo Stoner. Also, my music channel, Light Codes Music, go check that out if you want to hear some sounds or whatever. And yeah, I'll be back on in about 5 minutes with another guide video. All right, guys, peace. Nothing but money on my mind. She say she love me, love is blind. She ride it up and down and then rewind. When we fuck, it gets better every time. I got 2 bad bitches by my side. I tell my ups don't even try. Anytime I lift, I let it fly. Come down and put 2 spirits in the sky. Hit your block and put some spirits on the floor. Niggas know I got a lot, but I need more. Nowadays, all my guap is kept offshore. Stash box, I got a couple keys of raw. Whoa, the weed is Arabian, burning it down like a Sabian. I'm coming down to the stadium, rolling with angels and aliens. There's only real ones in my radius. Everyone here know my alias. I'm coming down to the stadiums, rolling with angels and aliens. She take it straight to the face, laughing all of the way to the bank. Pardon, I take it straight to the face, pull up and parking. Jump out the spaceship, step over your carcass. When you look around, you see killers and carnage. My niggas is Martians, yeah, we live and die by the stardom. Even when we're in the darkness, you know we stay lit regardless. All of your bitches, they love me. All of your hatred is harmless. Only the gods can judge me, yeah. Even when we're in the darkness, you know we stay lit regardless. All of your bitches, they love me. All of your hating is harmless.